Okay, hey, so what I want to talk about now is listening. And I think listening is obviously, there's a big difference between written vocabulary and spoken vocabulary. I mean, they both refer to the same thing,
Hamburger.
but they're kind of different things in a lot of ways. You're talking about symbols, connecting mental imagery with symbols and meaning. And then now you also have to connect that mental imagery and that, those deeper connections and those memories with spoken vocabulary. Okay, so what I would suggest is that you could take the same approach that we had for reading, written vocabulary. And if you find a website where you can find a pronunciation of words in English, link.com is very good for that, because whenever you click on a word in link, you'll get the little definition, but you'll get a little button for the pronunciation of the word as well. So what I would suggest is, clicking on every word and then just listening to the pronunciation of every word, and then, click on the word again and hear the person say, if the word is business, click on the word business, click on the word business, and keep clicking on the word. And whenever you hear that word, you should let the word paint a picture of what business is. So, you need to get some sort of mental representation of what business is. Don't use translation into your first language. It should go directly from the spoken vocabulary to the image.
Business. 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 Business.
And just keep clicking on business and let that suggest memories that you have of business and experiences and things like that. So, the way that you would do that with written vocabulary, do it the same way with spoken vocabulary. You just need to find websites where you can do that. I think you can go to Google and just put the word into Google, and then you'll get a little button where you can hear the pronunciation. But I just recommend Link because it's a great website. And so what I would say there is that you've just got to do that thousands and thousands of times with thousands of words. You need to listen to thousands and thousands of words, and you need to let all of those words individually suggest the things that they represent mentally. So when we're looking at pronunciation now, I think this activity is pretty important. What you need to do is you need to find some sort of resource like TED.com. TED.com is very good, and obviously link.com. There's breakingnewsenglish.com, which is free. Find anything that has text and audio.
Instructions. But I love to figure out how things work for myself. When I was 12, I hated school, but I fell in love with trading the markets. I caddied at the time, earned about $5 a bag, and I took my caddying, and I figured I could buy more shares, and if it went up, I'd make more money. So that was a dumb strategy, right? So I made a lot of painful mistakes.
They had never been very successful.
The three men moved along the small river as they worked.
Hurricane slams into Caribbean. This is breakingnewsenglish.com. A record-breaking hurricane is causing death and destruction in the Caribbean.
So what you need to do then is, because I see this with a lot of students, is that in my classes with students, I get students to start reading an article aloud. And whenever they make a pronunciation mistake, I just correct them on the word. And then they keep reading, and then they make another mistake, and then I correct them on the word. So what I notice is that a lot of students develop their own pronunciation for certain words. So I think this is definitely true. And a big reason is that English has very irregular pronunciation. It has very strange pronunciation because there's words like through and cough where it ends in O-U-G-H, but they've got two different sounds really. So one is through, the vowel sounds like oo, and the other one ends in off, cough. So a way to solve that problem would be to find that text and just press play and read at the same time. So you're listening and reading at the same time.
Whether you like it or not, radical transparency and algorithmic decision making is coming at you fast, and it's going to change your life. That's because it's now easy to take algorithms and embed them into computers and gather all that data that you're leaving on yourself all over the place and know what you're like, and then direct the computers to interact with you in ways that are better than most people can.
And just go all the way down the text, only focusing on pronunciation. Don't really focus on meaning here. Just focus on pronunciation, and focus especially on connecting the spoken vocabulary with the written vocabulary. You should just connect up every word. And whenever you come across, or whenever you find a word that, you know, where you thought maybe the pronunciation was different, whenever you find a word that, you know, you have a problem with, focus on that and just listen to how the native speaker pronounced it. But, you know, just work with a huge amount of text and audio. Something like TED is perfect because they give these speeches and talks for like, you know, 15 or 20 minutes, and there's a lot of vocabulary there. And for whatever, I mean, if you work in, try and find the topic that is relevant to you. So if you work in IT, try and find some technology speeches on TED.com, and just sit there and read the text, listen to the audio, connect up the pronunciation, and, you know, just spend half an hour doing that, or even an hour, but especially focusing on pronunciation. But now when it comes to meaning and associating meaning with spoken vocabulary, there's a certain method which I use when I'm trying to learn Chinese, and I'll just give you a basic description of it. So what I do is, first of all, you always need text and audio. So link.com is brilliant. Breaking News English if you're learning English, and TED. So what I would do first is, first of all, read. Okay, so first of all, read the text, and, you know, just choose you know, start small. Don't read the whole text. Just start small. Choose a paragraph or half a paragraph, and then just read. When you find a word that you don't know, translate it, but then connect that. You know, create those mental images and those deep connections with the written vocabulary. Create that, and then maybe, you know, find the pronunciation for the word, and then just keep clicking on the word and hearing the word. And whenever you hear the word, you should see that mentally. So, you know, if the word is money, you know, if you find the word money, I mean, just keep clicking on that button, and, you know, let the person say money. And whenever they say money, you should see a mental representation or a mental picture of, or, you know, a personal experience that you've had with money. Okay, hopefully a lot of money. So first of all, I would do that reading. So you want to create mental pictures for that short section of text. So now, but there's two ways of reading here. You can create mental imagery for each word, but then in a way you've got to read as well to connect the bigger picture as well. So you've got to kind of read the paragraph for the overall story. You've got to see the overall story mentally, and then once you have that overall story, you could play it through, you can see it. Then what I would suggest is, provided that you have text and audio, then click on the audio and listen and read, but focus on meaning. Don't focus on the pronunciation now. Really focus on meaning so you're listening and you're reading, and you're listening and you're reading, and you're focusing on picturing the story that it's telling. And maybe do it over and over again, okay? Until you really start to see it and you associate the spoken vocabulary with the story. And then what you could do after that is, so once you have that story, then you could, obviously now is going up one level where you're not looking at the text, and you need to click on the audio and you need to look away from the screen and see. Now the thing is that you have the story, you have the mental movie in your mind. Now you have the spoken vocabulary and you're listening to it. And then your job is to connect up all of those words. All of those words that you're hearing should connect up to that story that you have already, because you've read it and you've read and listened at the same time. So, I mean, there's other ways. I know of students who, I think they have books where half the text is in, say, if they're Spanish, half the text would be in Spanish and then half the text would be in English. So what they do is they read the text in Spanish to get the story, and then after that they read the text in English to connect up the vocabulary with the story that they have in their minds. But that's looking at reading, but now you have to do this with listening. So it's basically like read the text, picture the story, and then listen only, and try and listen and connect up the story with the spoken vocabulary. So what I would also suggest is once you read, once you get that story, and then once you're listening only, is to listen only again and again and again until you start to see that picture mentally. Okay, and listen again and again and again until the whole story comes together and you kind of get to a deeper meaning of what the story is trying to say. So just spend time with it, but don't overdo it because you'll waste time, but just try and do it a few times just so you get that deeper meaning of the story. And then what I would also say is that when you're at the higher levels, you don't have to spend so much time with the vocabulary. Maybe you could just use TED.com, just read a little quickly, get the story, and then listen to that section. Then after you've done that, read the story again and then listen. So it's just a way to, because obviously reading's easier, you'll get the vocabulary and then just read a little bit and then listen to that section, just to give you a little bit of help when you're listening. And then the last thing that I'll say is that I've seen for some students, one student specifically, that it really helped her when what she used to do was she would transcribe audio. So this is a little different to the method that I was talking about, but what she would do is she would find podcasts with natural kind of spoken English and maybe a bit like humorous, and she would just press play on the audio, take it very slowly. She would go through the video, the podcast or the audio very slowly, and then just transcribe. And she said that the method of transcribing would really force her to focus in on detail and focus in on the pronunciation of each word. So I'm just going to give you a little demonstration here of transcribing audio. But before that, I want to talk about Spotify and the Spotify app. Spotify is great for music, but it's also really great for finding good podcasts. So if you go up to browse and then down here, go to podcasts, okay? Now scroll down and you'll get the featured podcast, the most popular podcast. And then if you go further down, you will see categories. Okay, so tech, technology and gaming, lifestyle, news, comedy, entertainment. There's sports down here. So I just really recommend using Spotify. Download this for your phone maybe, and when you're on the bus or when you're driving, listen to great podcasts. So now, just for transcribing audio, I'm going to click on technology and gaming, and if you go down here, you'll see a selection of some of the best technology podcasts. Now, some of them are about 10 minutes long, some of them are about an hour long. I'm going to choose this one here by the Wall Street Journal. Let's click on that there. And now make sure that you have a maybe, if you want to use a pen and paper, you can do that. But for me, I just like to use this notepad. Okay. So the idea is to go down, choose your podcast. Now this one here is only 8 minutes, 37 seconds long. So what I would do is just press play.
This is Tech News Briefing from the Wall.
Press pause and then transcribe. So what she said was, this is Tech News Briefing. Okay. Now if you're not sure, just, you can go back and listen to it again. So just listen to that again.
This is Tech News Briefing from the Wall Street Journal.
Okay. This is Tech News Briefing from the Wall Street Journal. Okay. And then there's a bit of music.
Welcome to Tech News Briefing. I'm Charlie Turner in New York.
So welcome to Tech News Briefing. I'm Charlie Turner, etc., etc. So just that's the idea. Press play on the podcast, listen to the audio, press pause, type it out or write it out, and then just keep going all the way through the podcast, and it really focuses your listening skills. Okay. And okay, so but I just want to talk about TED.com as well, because you can use TED.com to check on your transcript. Okay, so using TED, you can listen to the audio, transcribe here in your notepad or in your with a pen and paper. But then now, if you go down to transcript, after transcribing, you can click on the transcript and then check to see how accurate your listening skills and transcribing was. Okay, so for example, you would just click on the audio.
I used to think the whole purpose of...
All right, so I used to think the whole purpose
life was pursuing happiness.
Of life was pursuing happiness.
Everyone said the path to happiness was...
Everyone said the path to happiness was, etc., etc. Okay, so just keep doing that all the way through the video. Listen to the video. Now, so after doing that, you will have a lot of text here in your notepad or in your book at home. So then just go down, click on the transcript, and you can check to see how correct you were. Okay, so I'll just put this here like that so you can see. Okay, so I used to think the whole purpose of life was pursuing happiness. Okay, everyone said the path to happiness was, etc. Okay, so using TED.com or basically any resource that has text and audio is a really good way to check on your transcribing, and transcribing is one of the best ways to really improve your listening skills. All right, so as an exercise, maybe you could spend 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour just finding some audio at a good level for you, and then just sitting down, just listening and just transcribing everything you hear. Take it slowly, go all the way through. And for her, it worked great, so it would probably work very well for other students too. And that's it for this video, but in the next video I'm going to talk a little more about listening and different ways to improve your listening fluency. Okay, see you then.